There's a leader of an organization. Let's call him Joe. And Joe walks out of his office, and it's at the end of the day, and he's walking towards his car in the parking lot. And Joe sees a piece of garbage. Let's call it a buffalo. Fitting, right? And he walks out of his way, picks up the buffalo, walks further out of his way, and throws it out. And his colleague, Gary, happens to see this and is fascinated by this behavior. Walks over to Joe in the parking lot and says, Joe, I gotta ask it. Joe says, of course. He said, did you pick up that piece of garbage because you're the leader? Or are you the leader because you picked up that piece of garbage? See that difference? Is leadership a title, or is leadership a character? And do you act like the title because of the title? Or did you get the title because you have the character? So, that's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about leadership, the positive impact we can all have in the lives of others, and finally, why we're here at camp. What's the purpose of camp? But this place has allowed me to grow. This place has allowed me to step into who I've become, and I would assume that it's allowed that for a lot of you in this room. I have a stutter, that I've overcome the stutter. Now I do public speaking as a career, so it's sort of fun to speak about the fact that I have a stutter. And more so, I had a fear of public speaking. And I believe that fear are false expectations appearing real. So again, fear is false expectations appearing real. Our own fears are self-limiting behaviors. We create a glass ceiling for us that we believe that we can't get beyond. In grade 2, and this is at the time I was about 11 years old, and that's my wonderful, beautiful mother. We realized that I had a bit of an issue. I couldn't get some words out. We went to a speech therapist, and she gave us a clicker. And she said, count the amount of times in a day that you stutter. I think this is a strategy. I couldn't have an intelligent enough conversation with her. I think the strategy was I would become more cognizant, more aware of how many times I was stuttering, and perhaps I would slow down. The other thing, maybe, was that I would notice, hey, Tuesday I stuttered 17 times, and Wednesday I only stuttered 7. And Thursday it was 3. Hey, I can graph this and see that there's a trend here. That didn't quite happen. It didn't happen because it wasn't so cool in grade 2 walking around with a clicker, being like, what are you doing? I'm the recess bouncer. Or I'm counting my stutters, not the coolest thing to talk about. The other thing, and there's a little more context here, I was actually counting the wrong behavior. I was fine. The stutter wasn't king speechy, like I could speak, but I was limiting myself. I wasn't allowing myself to put myself out there, raise my hand in class and speak, or even feel comfortable speaking in front of friends or with a lot of people, so it was holding me back. And then in French class, in grade 6, I remember this moment perfectly. I was sitting in the 4th row of 5, and we were going zigzagging through the class reading a French passage. And when it got to the 3rd row right in front of me, like my heart, I could feel it pump out. I was scared, I was nervous, I was anxious. I've since learned that anxiety is excitement without breathing. So anxiety is just energy. It's nervous energy if we don't control it. And that can actually be positive energy and excitement if we breathe and control it. As it loops around and it got to me about 4 people down, it's 15 minutes away from me about to speak, and I'm looking through the passage going, all right, what are the words that I'm going to have trouble with? And I often have trouble with words that have a very harsh sound to start with, and that was a bit of a stutter there. But anyway, you're not aware of it, I am. And it got to me, and I was speaking, and I could hear my own voice. I could hear it a lot here, and I could hear it a lot here. And my voice was shaking. And I finally got to that word, très. I said it now. I couldn't say that. Très bien. Très is like the 3rd word you learn in French, and I couldn't say it. It's a harsh word, but I couldn't say it. It's at the tip of my tongue. It's like those Chinese, what do you call those things where you try to push your finger thrusts, thank you. And the harder you try to pull, the harder it is to actually get your fingers out. And I was forcing this word out like there was no tomorrow. And after about 7 seconds, my French teacher finally says, Stephen, what's the matter? And I look up, look back down to the page, and I try to force it out once more, and it just didn't happen. And I finally said, I can't pronounce the word. And she didn't know I had a stutter. I had a stutter. And she looked at me and said, next, totally past me. And then I was just like deflated. I was embarrassed. What is everyone thinking of me? I can't describe what's wrong with me. I still have the stutter now, but I put myself out there. I've taken positive risks. I've